recipient of the Honigman's First Book Prize, the May Sarton Award from the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, the Kate Tufts Award from Claremont College, the 2009 Oregon Book Award from the Arts of Oregon, and his poems have appeared in McSweeney's, Plowshares and Lever, London Review of Books, Narrative Magazine. He's also the poetry editor of Tin House Magazine, and he lives in Portland, Oregon, which is apparently the Paris. Seriously, he's one of my favourite poets writing at the moment, and he's a poet who I think is quite rare in the sense that has the ability to actually genuinely surprise, which I think lots of poets try to, me included, and fail. So if we all give a big hand to Matthew Dickman.
This has been amazing. I mean, it's an amazing experience for me to be here and to read with these incredible poets who really like fuck shit up, right? It's also great to read to a crowd who by now is probably really lit. It's like Thanksgiving dinner at my house. So I'm going to read a couple, just two. I thought, what better start for a crowd in a warm room who are drunk, but to read a couple elegies to an older brother. And I'll read some new poems, and then I'll end with a poem about sex. You should start with that one. No, I mean at every funeral, afterwards, people are having a lot of sex. Weddings, not so much. I'm going to read for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. The last poem makes up the majority. My brother's grave. Like a city I've always hated. Driving through but never stopping. My foot on the gas, running all the lights, wishing I were home. Hating even the children who lived there as if they had a choice. I imagine him in his 10 million particles of ash, tied up into a beautiful white bundle of lace, a silver bow looped where his neck should be, thrown into a washing machine, set on a delicate cycle to spin forever under the dirt. With all of him left. The vegetation of him. The no more thing of him. His skateboard and mountain bike and beers and cigarettes and daughter and mixtapes and loneliness. His legs and feet and arms and brain and kneecaps. Outside the graveyard, there is still part of him buried in the mysticism of his DNA, smeared across a doorknob or brushed along the jagged edge of his car keys. 2 kids from the high school nearby will fuck each other on top of him, and I won't know how to stop them. Someone will throw an empty bottle of vodka over their shoulder, and he will have to catch it. In this next uplifting poem, I'd like to dedicate to my friend Marcus, who's also lost a friend, and also has a complicated relationship with his father. Is that sharing a lot? So I'm always like, let's just create a safe space. Hold each other. Satellite. I'm sitting beneath the bent live oak, wishing the plane blinking above me was a satellite that would shoot images of my older brother back down into my brain, so I could print them out and paste them on the wall. I have to keep looking at this one picture of him to remember how his jaw was and which side of the moon he parted his hair. He's always away from me now. Some animal or constellation that walked out of the world, but for rumors and half-skeletons found in the Congo, drawings of what he might have looked like. My brain, dreams about cities from outer space, a place with a name like Kilimanjaro, where he might still be walking around in his vision streetwear high tops, or even a shadow like our father, who talked about Costco the night of my older brother's cremation, and how pumpkin-y the pumpkin pie was. Though he bought it in a frozen pack of 20. Just like a real bakery, he said. You just throw it in the oven. He kept saying that. You just throw it in the oven. You just throw it in the oven. You just throw him in the oven. Okay. So, now that we're all really happy. Come on, back really fast. Alright. So this is a poem about a dog. A very good dog. I must have looked so handsome because she said, "You look so handsome." And I must have been 8 years old because she said, "I can't believe you are already 8 years old." And it must have been a dark and romantic Italian restaurant because it was dark in there and full of couples holding hands across the beautiful tables and feeding each other pasta and bread and drinking wine and kissing, and my mother with her black Russian and me with my milk. And before we even sat down in the candlelight, we must have sat in the car because we were sitting in the car in the pocket of the driveway where she placed her hand on my knee and patted it like you would if the knee were a very good dog. And she must have smiled and said, "Are you excited for our date?" Because she smiled and said, "Are you excited for our date?" Well, with her free hand, she ran the red lipstick like a wet finger across her mouth. And we must have danced that night because the restaurant had a dance floor full of other couples. And she showed me where my hands were supposed to go and how to move my legs, and laughed and beamed and said, "I love you so much." Which meant there would be no other world but this world. No other way. No other forest but this forest, and all the trees on fire, and all the animals running. My whole reading is going to be really uplifting. Alley poem. Now I get to be alone again, like I've always wanted to be. And there's nothing anyone can say about it, especially me. Especially since I've been begging for it. Isn't that what they say? He was begging for it, which is awful, but especially for girls. And now I'm alone like a red fire truck. Thank God. A red fire truck buried beneath the earth of stuffed animals. The air around me thick as a mouth or a bar of soap because I was asking for it after all. And after all, sometimes I can just lose it and shake the baby I am. Grab it by the shoulders and shake it into scrambled eggs with toast for a face, and no afterlife for him, and no TV either, and no dessert since he did not do all his chores. Though punishing him by making him stay in his room will do no good since he'll like it too much. Better to drag him into an alley where he won't know where he is, and tell him to shut up, and make him sweep or sing. and get him drunk and lie him down on a bed of snow, or take off all his clothes and point my finger and laugh and tell him to jump, tell him to beg, and shoot him in the head, shoot him right in the brains, right in the heart, and say, you were asking for it. Then hold him like I do, so he doesn't feel alone. Not like that. I promise we're going to get to an uplifting section. I mean, not that I've ever had sex, but life of imagination. Well, this poem ends with sex. Sidewalk poems. I think but my phone's from America. It shouldn't be doing that. Should be quiet, minding its manners. Sidewalk poem. My mother worked like a dog for so long, it's nice to see her be the owner. There are only really 1,210,000 ways to die. The 5 main ones being your father drinking, your father breathing, your father touching anything at all, your father listening to opera, your father looking at you and saying, I see you. Like Pope Francis, looking at a girl's knees when he was 12, and what made him love Jesus crawled out of his lunch pail right as she crossed her legs in the sign of a cross. Actually, there are only really 10 ways to die, but I'm too afraid to say. I'm brave enough to walk home, though. Brave enough for the dark if there's a cross in it, a telephone pole, or a weirdly shaped tree, if there's a dog being walked, if there's a dog at all. I want to take this opportunity to say that the Gettysburg Address is the money shot of any speech I've ever read aloud to my mom and dad. Which is to say, if you are ever even a little bit afraid, just know that other people are too. It's not just you standing in the spice aisle at the grocery store asking where they keep the anus extract, or if you can use manila instead. In years to come, when you sign all your letters with your mind only, know that someone is alone in her bed with a body, sort of like a body you have, and that she believes that she is dying, that she is thinking about her porous mother and scotch-tape father. You go anywhere in the world, even inside your own self, and your mom and dad will be right there like 2 warm eggs with a little chocolate and blood inside them. I'm sorry. I was just walking home and thinking about my mom and thinking about my dad, and saw one of those blue bags people use to pick up after their dog, because they love that stupid dog so much, even though it's not a baby, and even though they can't have sex with it. Not really. Not the way you and I have sex with each other with a ball and a stick, calling each other in from the dark, saying, good boy, and saying, good girl. And this is a little poem called Long Division. All my clothes are laid out, and all your clothes are in a pile, and I'm 5 beers, and you are a white line running forever on the coffee table, and I'm a trigger, and you're a clip, and I'm okay with that if you want to take a bath, and I'm okay with that if you want to take a bath. And all my streets are held down, and all your corners are locked up in boom boxes, and both of us are some smoke blowing from one mouth into another mouth, while the dude on stage is saying, okay, all right, fucking okay. Maybe there is something important I left behind in my neighborhood, and maybe his name is Anton, and he's dead, so there's that. And maybe her name is Andy with an I and a tongue snapping juicy fruit gum in the park, and she's got 5 kids now, so there's that. And I know we both had to sharpen pencils and learn long division and uniforms and hot lunches, and it's all fucking dark in space, and people trying not to float away, and all the weed in the freezer waiting to be loaded with our friends, and really wanting mom and dad to love us, which is fine. It really is. It really is sawdust and swing sets, front yards, and iced tea, but who said anything about hacking people up? So we have to be out here at 11:15, right?
No.
Like my social life, talking to no one. Okay, I'd like to read last 2 poems.
Yeah.
Okay, is that all right? Enough time for 2?
Yeah.
All right, 30 pages. No, we'll be done in like 7 minutes. The first one is not the sex poem. The first one is an elegy. I started with elegies. My older brother, Darren, those 2 poems were for him. And he committed suicide about 6 years ago. And I wrote a lot of elegies for him, or he would show up in poems. And so then I started thinking about other things that deserved elegies. And goldfish were one of them. And does anyone here own goldfish? Heartless bastard.
I do.
You do. What is wrong with you? Poor goldfish. Elegy to a goldfish. I can't remember when my brother and I decided to kill you. Small fish with no school, bright and happy at the bottom, slipping through the gate of your fake castle. I think it was winter. A part of us aware of the death outside, the leaves being burned up and the squirrels starving inside the oaks, the sky knocking its clouds into the ashtray of the city. And it might have been me who picked you up first, who chased you around the clean bowl of your life and brought you up into the suffocating elevator of ours. And I want to say it was my brother who threw you against the wall, like a drunk husband. The glowworm inch of you sliding down the English garden of wallpaper. And that it was me who raised my leg like a dog. Me who brought my bare foot slamming down on your almost nothing ribs and felt you smear like a pimple. Now that's something I get to have forever. That Halloween candy-sized rage. That cough drop of meanness. And your death, only the beginning. The mushy orange autopsy reminded us of mandarins, navels, bloods, Persians, the sweet Valencia. And when our sister, who must have thought of you all day, came home to find the bowl empty, looked at us, my brother and me, I remember we started to laugh. And then it might have been me, though it could have been him, who thought to open the can of tangerines, who pulled one of the orange bodies out of the syrup and threw it at her, this new artificial you, chasing her around the house, screaming, "Eat him! Eat him!" But it was me who held her down on the bed, and him who forced her mouth open. And it was me who pushed the sticky fruit into her throat like a bloody foot into a sock. You had only been gone for 1 hour, and yet the sky outside turned black and red. The tree in the yard thrashed back and forth until its spinal cord broke, and my little sister, your one love, flashed white and pulsed like neon in a hospital, her eyes rolling back into the aquarium of her head for a moment, and in every single country, countless deaths, but none as important as yours. Tiny Christ, machine of hope, martyr of girls and boys. Okay, so now I want you all to be in love. And because I'm from the hippie West Coast, I love all of you. In a way. Some of you more than others. So thanks for having me, and it's been an honor to read with such amazing poets. And you should all come to Portland, Oregon. You would get along so well there. Everyone's drunk and reading poems there. Even if they're not writing it. Great. All right, so this is the sort of, this is an ode, right? Because you guys know about odes. It's a sort of ode I wrote when I was living alone for like 8 months. In a part of the United States on the West Coast. I was up on a tip of a piece of land in the middle of fall and winter and stuff. There's nothing around, and I really wanted to, well, I mean, I really wanted to go down on somebody, you know, like some intimacy, and it wasn't there. Shocking. So I wrote this. Thanks for listening. Getting it right. Thank you. Thank you for coming. It's been great. Getting it right. Woo. Your ankles make you want to party. Want to sit and beg and roll over under a pair of riding boots with your ankles hidden inside, sweating beneath the black tooled leather. It'd make me wish it was my birthday so I could blow out their candles. Have them hung over my shoulders like 2 bags full of money. Your ankles are 2 monster truck engines, but smaller and lighter and sexier than the softer and more melted outside edge. They make me want to sing. Make me want to take them home and feed them pasta. I want to punish them for being bad. And then hold them all night and say, I'm sorry, sugar, darling, it'll never happen again, not in a million years. Your thighs make me quiet. Make me want to be hurled into the air like a cannonball and pulled down again like someone being pulled into a van. Your thighs are 2 boats burned out of redwood trees. I want to go sailing. Your thighs, the long breath of them under the blue denim of your high-end jeans could starve me to death, could make me cry and cry. Your ass is a shopping mall at Christmas. A holy place. A hill I fell in love with once when I was falling in love with hills. Your ass is a string quartet, the northern lights tucked tightly into bed between a high count of cotton sheets. Your back is the back of a river full of fish. I have my tackle and tackle box, only to say the word. Your back, a letter I've been writing for 15 years, a smooth stone, a moan someone makes when their hair is pulled. Your back like a warm tongue at rest, a tongue with a tab of acid on top. Your spine is an alphabet, a ladder of celestial proportions. When I place my fingers along it, there isn't an instrument in the world I'd rather be playing. It's a map of the world, a timeline. I'm navigating the north and south of it. Your armpits are beehives. They make me want to spin wool, want to pour a glass of whiskey. Your armpits dripping their honey, their heat, their inexhaustible love-making dark. Your arms are the arms of nations. They hail me like a cab. I am bright yellow for them. I'm always thinking about them, resting at your side or high in the air when I'm pulling off your shirt. Your arms of blue and ice with the blood running through them, close enough to your shoulders to make your shoulders believe in God. Your shoulders make me want to raise an army and burn down the embassy. They sing to each other underneath your turquoise slope-neck blouse. They are each a separate bowl of rice, steaming and covered in soy sauce. Your neck is a skyscraper of erotic adult videos. A swan and a ballet and a throaty elevator made of light. Your neck is a scrim of wet silk that guides the dead into the hours of heaven. It makes me want to die. Your mouth, which is the mouth of everything worth saying. It's abalone and coral reef. Your mouth, which opens like the legs of astronauts who disconnect their safety lines and ride their stars into the 1,000,001 voting districts of the Milky Way. Darling, you're my president. I want to get this right. I have these little chapbooks, which are hard to find. They're only available in Europe. But I only have a couple, and I was going to sell them, but I thought, why sell them?
Very good. To the back.
To the back.
Oh.
I think that's it. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that all of them? That's all of them. All right, thank you so much.